Okay, so maybe if we start with the sort of proposition, which you can sort of agree with or not, but a suggestion that there's a widely held perception that security and innovation are, if not exactly diametrically opposed or enemies, they're at least sort of pulling in somewhat different directions. And I suppose the characterization is that security is seen as kind of getting in the way of innovation, in the use of some of these new agile IT solutions. Is that a fair observation, I guess, as a starting point?
Yes, Philip, yeah, I think a lot of people think that, but security isn't really an enemy of innovation. I think the real enemy is the lack of planning. The real enemy is not treating security as you are innovating and making security an afterthought, and bolting on security, once your innovation is already in place. Those are the instances where it becomes a problem. If the friction comes when security is an afterthought. If security is embedded from the very beginning in the innovation cycle, it becomes an enabler, allowing organizations to, deliver their services, deliver their innovation with confidence instead of any hesitation.
Okay, yeah, and just sort of pursuing the idea as the sort of slight friction between security and innovation for a minute. Um, Maybe people also think that they've got to kind of almost choose as to which to prioritize, because there's got to be some compromise. You either can't innovate as much as you want because of security, or if you're going to let everyone innovate as they want, you maybe have to somehow pull back security. Is that a bit of a misnomer?
There's always trade-offs, right? But the organizations must choose between, there is no, I don't think there's a choice between speed of innovation and security, right? I think, for organizations to be successful, they have to have both organizations in play. And I think that's why we are starting to see CIOs and chief information security officers in the C-suites, because they are now an integral part of that business innovation. And when you keep both the teams, security teams and the development teams, in these enterprise organizations in discussions from the very beginning, I think security can and innovation can work in tandem. And it is, the perception that it's hard to keep pace. I think that's very real, right? The rate and innovation is, considerably higher than it was a few years ago. And similarly, the amount of threat vectors that we are having to deal with is also continuously a moving target. So I think the rate of change is definitely something that the security teams are going to be finding it hard to keep up. But I think that's where security testing comes as an accelerator and not as a roadblock to help security teams and enterprise organization to keep pace and not be security being a roadblock, when it comes to innovation, I think.
Okay, and from your sort of knowledge, experience, anecdotally, whatever, is that where a lot of companies are at the moment, so that they are finding security is a bit of, as you say, if it's done properly, you've maybe got the speed and level of response required from security testing, but right now people haven't maybe upgraded their testing environment, so they can't provide the agility, flexibility that people require in this digital world where apps and such are being, I won't say they're being developed in minutes, but they can obviously be fired up very quickly, and therefore the security testing needs to sort of mirror that requirement.
I agree. Like it's so the organizations have to take a very proactive approach, right? And the real issue that many enterprise customers face is the approach that they're taking, like, and this approach worked a few years ago, right? When the rate of change was manageable, where you can make your testing manual, your digital environments, you're bringing up environments as you need them, and it takes time for many organizations to keep pace with making sure their new innovations are getting tested in a timely manner. It is taking much, much longer than it needs to. Okay, and that's because the legacy approach of manual testing and siloed environments and siloed teams, these are some of the the inhibitors for this the pace. And I think if a customer is take an approach, a proactive approach where the testing is automated, and the testing is it's much more difficult nowadays, is because security environments in modern enterprises is very distributed. They're embracing cloud. They have remote workers. They have branch offices. They have SaaS applications. They have many different environments and deployments that they have to secure. And even testing and the policies that are deployed in these security controls are also very specific to those environments where they're deployed. And therefore, the types of threats that they see are also different. So testing needs to be customized for each of these different environments. But if teams have to manually do each of these things individually, it's going to take them a lot of time. And I think that automation, it becomes a key aspect of being able to help customers keep pace with that innovation and change that's happening.
Okay, so we're looking at a sort of new landscape, ideally where security testing is embedded in an organization, as you say, is also automated so it can respond in a timely fashion. And that's easy to say, if you like, but what does this actual approach look like? How do you respond to, as you've outlined, the different ways people work and innovative applications, low code, no code, whereas I say things can be develop very quickly, shall we say? I don't know. We're talking digital twin. What's going on, if you like?
That's a very good point, right? So digital twins are a critical component for many organizations, as you mentioned. When you create these, but we need to create these digital twins in a very quick manner, right? So, being able to, deploy these digital twins quickly, bring up different environments very quickly, and have a tailored set of test cases that goes, security needs to be always on. And therefore, security testing needs to be always on as well. So that means security testing needs to become an integral part of the DevSecOps lifecycle. Your CI/CD pipeline needs the ability to be able to quickly bring up a digital twin, to quickly enable the changes that you're planning to make, assess what kind of impact that change is going to have on your security posture. But it's not just the security posture. You also need to make sure the changes that you're making are not adversely impacting the quality of experience for your service. Security and user experience needs to be balanced correctly, because if you have too much security, your user experience is impacted, that's going to be a stifler for your innovation, or your stifler for your service to be adopted. So trying to find that right balance, making sure that the changes that you're making are not, causing any security drifts, and making sure your quality of experience is maintained. These kinds of testing needs to be done as part of your CI/CD pipeline, so that as you're making these changes, you're quickly validating your baselines are being maintained in terms of your security posture as well as your quality of experience, and then and you can deploy them. So if you don't make security testing an afterthought, and it's part of your innovation cycle, it's part of your CI/CD pipeline, and you embrace automation, and you embrace the deployment of your digital twins in a highly orchestrated, automated way, I think you can keep pace with these changes.
And in terms of, I don't know if you're in a fairly large organization, it's fairly busy, so there's a lot of developing going on. I mean, is it practical and possible to automate everything? So I don't know, if you've got 10 different people working on different things and they're all kind of asking for permissions or some kind of security approval at the same time, can you automate the order in which that happens? Do you need some kind of manual overseeing so that you can say, okay, well, yes, we know we need that one for just, I suppose, how much is it possible to automate, and how much do you still need a sort of bit of a human oversight just to manage?
Yeah, I mean, human oversight is never going to go away. Even as enterprises and organizations embrace AI, human in the loop is a very, very important aspect. You can't let everything to be fully automated and completely hands off, right? I think the even in a completely AI environment, I think for us to be fully safe, I think human in the loop is not, it's going to be an integral part of our strategy. However, what can be done in an automated environment is a lot of parallelization, because I think that's one of the, areas where, customers feel like this pipeline needs to be a one after the other kind of a model. Whereas, because the changes that you have to make in a cloud environment shouldn't, impact what's happening on your, branch office. So you should be able to, make changes on both ends in parallel, and, ensure that the changes that you're making are not impacting anything else. So, so being able to bring parallel digital twins, being able to do parallel testing, these are ways to make sure that you are able to keep up with that, demand. And, and you need the human in the middle to make sure that the results and the automation, results are, you're validating them and making sure there is someone analyzing them to make sure that, even though these analysis and the reports are automatically created for you, but I think somebody still needs to make sure that, it's everything is going the same in the right direction. Maybe
And you mentioned AI there, and I guess it's almost impossible to have an IT conversation without mentioning AI. So what does that bring? I think you've somewhat allowed it already, but what does AI bring to this scenario? How much faster can it make that, as to what you're saying, the parallel and the speed of testing? Is AI got a big role to play in this sort of new environment?
I think so, right? And many organizations, as well as many security vendors, are innovating a lot in this, AI space, right? So AI-driven security, being able, I think AI is going to be very helpful in being able to find anomalies, and finding in the needle in the haystack is going to be much easier for an AI-based tool. Analyzing results, finding those kinds of things, AI is going to be very, very good at. And, and then I think organizations should embrace AI so that they can, do things faster, and they're not, AI is going to be much faster than a human trying to analyze all these data. So from that perspective, it's very important. And there are many security vendors who are looking at security controls that are deployed on these security devices, and using AI to optimize and so forth. So, which is all very good things, and I think we should embrace them. But it's what's very critical is that just like humans were making configuration errors, AI is not going to be perfect either, right? And I think that's where we need to make sure testing is part of that ongoing orchestration. Every changes, whether a human is making those changes or whether the AI is making those changes, that those changes are being validated, and making sure those changes are not, causing adverse effects is an important aspect, and making sure that it's not introducing new security drifts, it's not impacting quality of experience. These are all very important aspects. And another thing that organizations are using is not just AI in security, but AI as a business enabler, right? They're, training up large language models on their, domain-specific information to be able to deliver services to their customers. So they're embracing these, chatbots and, different ways to have a much more interactive, large-scale interactive services with their customers. And when they deploy these kinds of large language models and so forth, that's another, area where they have to make sure security is a, center thought for them, because there are a lot of bad actors out there also utilizing AI. right? So AI is, not just on the good side, but also the bad actors are utilizing it. There are, you know, bad prompts that are coming into these LLMs that, change the behavior of the, large language model and, let them forget what they're trained to do and make them do something very different. And, we need controls in place to make sure these kinds of, malicious, prompts are, stopped and they're not impacting the way the LLM model behaves, right? And also data disclosure, because there are lots of organizations who are embracing these AI, and a lot of employees want to be more productive, and they're utilizing all these different tools. But when they're using these tools, they have to be very careful they're not uploading sensitive information into these open AI tools. And so therefore organizations need to have some kind of application policies, management, and sensitive data disclosure policies in place to protect against these kinds of AI innovations that are happening in organizations, or sanction their own AI tools so that their employees are not using open tools and so forth.
So in terms of what we've discussed, how would you characterize the tangible benefits of ensuring that security testing? I mean, we started out that security is maybe seen as something of a bottleneck in security testing specifically, but in order for it to become, if it can become a digital transformation enabler, business enabler, what are the benefits that brings to an organization if they get it right?
Yeah, I think many organizations understand that, you need a measure to be able to see how let me start again. Security testing gives organization a measurable impact. Okay, organizations are investing in security controls, new innovations on a continuous basis, but they need a mechanism to make sure that the investments that they are making are working the way they're expected. And testing gives you that empirical data to ensure that you can validate that investments are working the way they're supposed to work. So that's the baseline value proposition. But with security testing, and especially automated security testing, enables customers to bring innovations and services and applications to market much faster with a much more confidence than they would have been able to previously. It also helps them reduce their security risk tremendously, and also the cost of finding a breach. And what you'll find is that, yes, external threat vectors are a very real, a very big factor, but also equally important thing that is causing many of the security failures in these organizations is configuration mistakes, a security control not being configured correctly, not being optimized correctly, or a cloud environment with a security group that is not configured properly. These are some of the things that can be easily mitigated by continuous validation, right? So reducing your overall cost of breaches and your network going down is a huge advantage that you're getting by doing a proactive approach instead of a afterthought, once the incident has already happened. It also helps with compliance, okay? Because by making security testing, especially automated security testing, part of your CI/CD process, you have proof points for your compliance requirements. It's not a last minute fire drill when you have to produce evidence for your compliance. This is an ongoing thing that you're able to do, and you have ongoing reports. You can easily satisfy your compliance requirements. And last is that I think the most important one is that organizations can push forward with their innovations and their businesses with confidence, and security is not considered a liability because they feel the confidence, they have data, empirical data to back up, that they've done the due diligence on a proactive manner.
Okay, and in terms of Spirent's involvement in this landscape that we're discussing, I believe you've developed, was it Spirent Velocity Automation portfolio? Perhaps you can just give us a some kind of an overview as to how that helps with what we've been discussing?
Yeah, so Spirent Velocity's automation portfolio helps organization in orchestrating all of these digital twins in a much, much more faster pace, especially combined with the layer one switching infrastructure and as well as the Velocity platform. You can bring up digital twins, whether in an on-prem environment or in a public cloud environment or a private cloud environment, virtual environments, orchestration of all these different virtual environments and virtual digital twins. And the second thing is, it also has a test automation capabilities, which you can trigger test tools like Spirent's Cyberflood test solution, which is used for the security testing capabilities, to be able to automate this security testing and making this continuous CI/CD process happen, CI/CD CT process happen for you. And also the Velocity platform has automated reporting capabilities that is very much needed to ensure you're able to analyze the results, making sure you're able to trend security drifts. You can trend the impact on quality of experience and trends on performance and so forth. So it enables continuous automated security testing at high scale, right? Because you can have parallel environments, you have multiple users can use it at one time. And once you integrate this into your CI/CD CT pipeline, it helps you keep pace with the change that many organizations are facing. And it helps you reduce the security risks and helps organization build a much more operationally resilient networks and services.
Okay, and I have to ask, just because I'm always curious about these things, in terms of the future plans around this, I guess this solution in particular, anything you can share as to how you might be developing the portfolio, bearing in mind obviously the whole security and security testing landscape, as we've discussed, moves at a fairly rapid pace.
Yeah, I mean, the Spirent is committed to continuously innovate, and especially helping organization evolve in this, as they embrace cloud, they embrace AI, or as they embrace, post-quantum ciphers and, post-quantum infrastructure, and whatever their innovation is, whether it's zero trust. So, we have we will continue, so we recently announced our zero testing capabilities. We are in the process of innovating around LLM security, being able to deliver security testing for large language models that are, security controls that are fronting large language models. And the value proposition of Spirent in terms of, helping organization to keep pace with the changes, whether it's the shifting regulations or emerging threat vectors, the goal is to ensure that we can help our customers test, automate, and validate on a continuous basis to secure their innovations and help them reduce their risks and the cost of enabling this security for them. So so that's a continuous thing that we'll always innovate on.
Okay, it's been great to chat. Some brilliant thoughts as to what's going on with security testing and how it needs to evolve, if you like, to keep pace with the digital world we're in, and also obviously some good insights as to what Spirent's doing. So, Sashi, really appreciate your time. Thank you.